We're still navigating the journey and figuring out how to do all this stuff and make it most efficient. But we definitely have another great episode here. The first thing I'm gonna jump into is an interview and a quick conversation I had with Tim Clark out of Kansas. He's down in a city called Hoxie, Kansas, and he owns a pretty large outfitting company, basically a hunting company. And what they, you pay with them to go on a tour and or on a hunt. And I think they primarily do deer and turkey. But we had a good conversation about hunting and where it's at in society today, the business of hunting, and we even talked about Cecil, that lion that got hunted and was that huge controversy a few years back.
Okay,
So
cool. So to
let's
jump right
let's
into it,
jump right into that.
you're in Kansas now. What
Yeah,
you're
yeah. I live in western Kansas now, by the Colorado border, about an hour east of Colorado. But I am originally from Colorado, the Denver area, and spent 35 years there before moving here.
oh well, and you were doing the same thing there as well, or
When I first got out of high school, I started a hunting company instead of going to college, and I did that for 4 years. I thought I would do it for 40, but I made some mistakes and crashed and burned, and then I went back to the real world for a while and actually worked for a truck driving company for about 7 years while I did this for a couple of years at the same time.
oh yeah,
And then I've been doing this for the past going on 8 seasons now. So
oh wow, yeah. So why hunting?
it's the one thing that I really enjoyed doing that I felt like I was good enough to share. And I'd always have people calling me telling me to take them hunting, and after a while I started thinking, hey, maybe I could start getting paid to do this, not from my friends and family that I took, but I was always the guy that everybody called that had all the gear, and I just figured might as well try to make a living doing what I love doing, and somehow made it work.
That makes sense. Um, do you are most of your clients like is it a trophy thing? Is it a food thing? Is it everything?
It's everything, really. That's a good way of putting it. We have I kind of started this thing making sure we'd be one of the only outfitters, if not the only one, that would cater to everybody. A lot of the paid hunts that you see that are out there, kind of 5-star kind of things, and that's fine. But it's stuff that not everybody can afford, including myself. And I wanted to start an experience where we could have anybody come out, from single parents to doctors and lawyers and beyond, financially speaking. And we've kind of kept that structure the entire time, and it's been a nice mix. We have people that come in here that drive trucks, and people that come in here that are orthopedic surgeons, and everybody in between. So
Yeah.
the experience is really it's really up to the hunter. We don't promote trophy hunting per se, although I do have people kill a lot of trophy animals with me. Don't get me wrong, that's what sells. But a lot of times guys come here thinking, hey, I'd love to shoot a giant whitetail, but they end up seeing one they've never seen before, and a nice sized animal, and they're just completely happy with that. And it would usually go against the grain of what you'd see a normal guided hunt sell for. It's usually just for antlers and that's it. But that's not really the kind of clients that we get.
Hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, because it's kind of it's one of those things we battle now in the Western world where, especially I'm in a pretty urban area, so it's you kind of keep your excitement for hunting to yourself, especially on social media.
Oh, sure.
Just because there's so many that think not so great of it, right? But I mean, it's yeah, it gets a lot of backlash, and I think that's because you see the Instagram picture of some chick and she's sitting next to a giraffe or whatever, right? But
Right. Yeah, exactly. I never, I can't say I can knock the person shooting a giraffe, but I can definitely say it's not for me. I don't see myself ever shooting a giraffe in my life, but some of that stuff just seems like it's, but at the surface, I'm not saying this is how I feel about it, but some of that stuff seems like it's done for shock value.
yeah,
Uh, to me, the way it's prepped and promoted, and then they say, oh, why are you picking on me? Well, you're sitting next to a giraffe. What do you expect?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Or
sorry, go ahead.
what's that?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, or the things like with the lion and things like that happen, that things get blown out of proportion on one hand too. With a guy shooting the lion, well, they don't tell you the backstory of that lion, and I don't think that he really knew what was going on. At least what I remember of that Cecil
Yeah,
episode.
well,
But
you hear that. I remember seeing that, and I was like, oh, I know what happens. I don't get too emotional about it. It's, it can suck. It can be all right, but then I read this article about one of the villagers there, and he's like, that lion was terrorizing our village, and the hunt just provided our village with a year's worth of food, so we're okay with it. Keep coming.
yeah, exactly, and
Yeah.
that's the side of the story they don't tell you.
Yeah.
And it's just the way that it goes. It's that they hit the soft spot for a news story, and that seems to be it. So most of the other hunting that you see out there is, things that you just never hear about. You might see a rack in the back of a truck going home, but there's a lot of people out there that love going hunting at least that 1 week a year. It's a lot of camaraderie and a lot of family tradition and things like that. And, it just kind of there's a huge. I don't know if I'd say it's an underground or underworld, but there's a lot more of it than people really know.
I
Which
think so.
which
Yeah.
is good. That's how we have a job. So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like you said, it can be a family tradition, or, yeah, when you really think about it, we're eating meat anyways. The animals that are getting slaughtered for it are going through much worse. So it's
that's right.
yeah.
That's
Um. So is just to tap into the entrepreneurial side of it, is it a pretty lucrative business? Like, are you consistent? Like, is it? There's seasons, and you got to deal with getting tags and the draws and all that. But
yeah. Yeah, the formula kind of gets a little better every year, which we hope never stops. But we it tends to be a very, what am I trying to say? There's a lot of ups and downs, and there's a lot of pitfalls, I guess. But the nice part about it is we've got two states that we've ended up working out to where we have Nebraska on one hand, where you can get tags over the counter, and in Kansas you put in for the application, and if you don't draw, then you have to wait another year. So when we first started, that was obviously a huge roadblock. People wouldn't draw, and they'd want their money back, and then we don't have operating capital, and what do we do? These guys, they've got to wait another whole year. Sometimes we never see them again. They end up finding another outfitter. They had a ability to take them out hunting that day, and that they were gone. So we developed the Nebraska side, which is right across the border. We're only 40 minutes away from the Nebraska state line, and hunting licenses there are much easier to get. You just go buy them over the counter. They're cheaper, and the hunting's great. It's not the same quality of hunting as Kansas, but in a way it's better because there's more animals. So we found a way to make it work, and as long as we can get out to our expos and make our objectives and get the sales in, it provides a pretty good living. Yeah, it's worth doing, and the nicest part about it is the quality of life. I have my kids sitting next to me right now. I have a 5-year-old boy and a 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old daughter, and I honestly don't really know what day of the week it is. It's every day is Monday and every day is Saturday, but I get a lot of time with my family, and I get to have him at work with me all the time. The exception is when he doesn't go to work with me, not the other way around. So,
yeah, that's
the
amazing.
quality of life, I think that alone, I wouldn't go back to the real world for a moderate 5-figure raise. I would stay exactly doing what I'm doing.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I got my plans for me. I got a 5-year-old son too, and that's my the annual hunting trip is planning to become the tradition for us soon here for sure.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think I got everything, man. That's perfect.